is no antidote. There is no antidote. There is no antidote. There is no antidote. There is no antidote.
Hi guys, I'm here. Not in my usual space. I am in Woodstock, New York, because tonight is my birthday. And so we decided to spend the weekend up here. And that also means I'm not in costume. But then again, I always kind of look like I'm in costume. And I've got these lovely, cool, like earrings that are like two halves of the sun. And if I stand back here like this, I look like I have spooky long hands. So it's kind of like a costume, even if it's not. Yeah. And Davey's here too.
Hey, everybody!
He's the whale. Oh my god! Was that the surprise?
I didn't show Brandy that before the show. Don't eat me!
You realize we were both in scuba diving costumes, though I didn't have a tank and you do, which is pretty amazing. So
Maggie has one of those like rollers that you like for physical therapy, like one of those foam rollers. I was like, that would make a perfect scuba tank. Just wrap it in tinfoil, a little duct tape.
I love it. I love it so much. So I see a whole bunch of people now because I'm on my iPad. I can't actually put things up like normal. So Davey, you're gonna have to be in charge of that. But I see lots of cool people here: Jessica, Kristen, Rika. Let's see, Sharon, Roni, Stephanie, all kinds of people.
Everybody's saying happy birthday.
Happy birthday to me. I am 47 this year.
Did I get everybody? Sadie and Jennifer and Kathleen. Yeah, we got a whole crew.
Yes, I'm so excited. I'm so excited because I really want to talk about this book so much. And I've not gotten to do a kind of like, book club thing with it. So
yes, this is my tribute to Whale Paul. Yes, it is.
Cat White. Oh, thank you, Cat, for happy birthday. So yes, this is very cool. And I'm very excited to be here. And I have spooky long hands.
You're still a baby?
You're still a baby.
Was that a quote from the book?
I'm still a baby because I'm 47.
Yeah.
I don't feel like a baby. I wish. Well, then again, as a baby, I was kind of like, I remember my mom saying when I was 3 years old, I kept asking her why she wouldn't cooperate with me about things. And I was 3. So maybe I was never a baby.
I don't think you probably came out like the boss baby or something like that, right?
I just came out like, I need a book and whiskey.
All right. Yeah, I'm excited to talk about this book too. I actually read it a few months ago because I read it closer to when it came out than closer to now. Or listened. Right. Of course, listened. Got to get all those good English accents in there on the audiobook.
Yeah, she did a good job. I got a lot of questions. She had a lot of questions.
Just said you're an old soul.
I am kind of an old soul.
Hi, Holland. Holland, have we heard from Holland before? Hi, Holland.
I don't know.
Happy
thank you.
She says.
Look at all the cool people here. I'm actually really excited. It is also it's really close to Halloween, and so as part of our show tonight, from the live.
Linda said, "Happy birthday." I was born middle-aged myself. In my head, I initially took that to think like Middle Ages, like she just born in a Renaissance fair, like.
That makes sense. Davey and I went to a Renaissance fair this year.
We did.
Oh, Stephanie is here. Pop Stephanie up real quick. Stephanie is my PA. And so Stephanie helps out a lot with the book club and does all kinds of amazing stuff and is super awesome. And I'm glad she's here. Hi, Stephanie.
Favorite with the OU.
Oh, yes, right. She is also in Toronto, like Kat. So we have the drink maker and our PA living in the same town, which is pretty great. So because it is kind of our Halloween show, I've decided from the live group of people who are here, and Davey, you're going to have to help me out with this. I want to we can pick some randomizers. We can figure out assign people sort of a number based on when they popped in. But I want to gift people some signed copies of the book to either keep or give as gifts. And also we will be doing 2 candy giveaways as well. So 2 book giveaways, 2 candy giveaways through the course of the show. Davey's going to have to help me with the randomizing of that. And we'll make sure to get that out to you guys. You'll have to send us your address if I don't already have it. But that's our Halloween gift to you for being here to talk about the book. So, yeah.
I do have another challenge for them too, but we'll get to that when we get to announcements.
Okay.
It's a peculiar movie thing. All right. Should we might as well just jump into announcements and get them out of the way.
We should.
Yeah, let's just get them out of the way.
Bonnie says, go Toronto contingent. So announcements. If you are new to us tonight, we are everywhere. We are like ubiquitous. And so up at the top there are all the various platforms that you can find us on. This is our live chat. If you're watching live and you haven't done this before, sometimes the screen will switch you over to like chat that isn't live. And you just need to pick the live chat so you can see what's happening in real time.
Get out of here, top chat. What is that even for?
Top chat. Algorithms, right? This is AI trying to take it over. Peculiar newsletter. If you're not signed up, you probably are. But that's where we send out all our links. And it's nice because sometimes I'm funny. And that's also where you get the speaking of funny, my Medium site, I posted an article that I wrote yesterday called "That Time I Made JD Vance Sad." I think a couple of you seen that. So do sign up for the newsletter.
We all hope JD Vance is sad soon.
Yes.
All right.
Let's hope that. Patreons and VIPs. So we're doing things a little bit differently this year. I sent out a first communication to those who are already VIP members that we have new tiers on Patreon, and we're sort of moving things around. More information is on that coming soon. But if you were to go to the Patreon site, you would see something like this, and you would see the different levels, and they say 2025 because the old levels are going away. Does show you what kind of swag you're going to get, which is really fun. And of course, you have to keep scrolling to see the other tiers that are available.
Oh, that's what the squiggly arrow means.
For, yeah. I was afraid people wouldn't be able to see it. So if you want to. Oh, that's right. Could you put Abigail's point up there real quick? We also have a Blue Sky for folks who are there. I am on Blue Sky like I have 5.8 thousand followers, which is kind of rad because I only had 10,000 on Twitter. So yes, please do. It's a very nice.
Is that where I should go? Because I'd really like to get off Twitter.
Yes, go to Blue Sky.
Okay.
And we have these thing called starter packs where I put all of the people who we've had on our show into a giant starter pack, and you can follow them all at once. Everybody has a Blue Sky account. So yeah, absolutely do, and it'll be awesome. Jennifer Pierce reminds us we are also on Goodreads, where she just added all of next season's books. And when I send out the newsletters, a lot of that information is also at the bottom. Sureka agrees. Blue Sky is so much better. Also, there's no algorithm and there's no advertisers. And there's precious few trolls. I'm not saying there's none, because, there always are some. But it's a really nice place to be. It's not like Twitter at all. Dead birds.
All right. What else is on our... there's another surprise for Brandy. So the vote was tied. So I acted in my vice presidential role as the tie-breaking vote, of course. And I thought the Derringer just sounded cool. It sounds like a cool name for a drink.
What was it tied with? It was tied with...
I think I still have
Smoke Over... Was it Smoke Over Abington?
Yeah, Smoke Over Abington.
Smoke Over Abington.
Can't you just see rolling up to a seedy bar and going, give me a Derringer.
Give me a Derringer. And of course, it's totally book themed because it has single malt whiskey and coffee and whiskey is all over this book. And then the flames. What? Flames. That's a little throwback to Clue there for you for a minute. Yes, so it looks amazing. I haven't made it yet because I was traveling, but I'm going to, because this is my scene, people. Like, I'm so excited, Kat. Cannot wait.
Oh, just wait for the late night Blue Sky. What do they call it? Skying? What do they call it when you send a message on Blue Sky?
We call it skeeting because it's slightly naughty. It's just a little bit naughty.
It's going to be drunk on Derringers and skeeting.
That's right.
All right.
Oh, yes. YouTube channel. I'm making some changes to the Peculiar Book Club website and my own website. Hasn't taken into effect yet, but when they do, a lot of this stuff will be easier to get to. I am drinking one now and cooking. Don't burn yourself. That's what Kathleen said. Yeah. Fire is supposed to be in the name of the cocktail, but not in any other place. Susan says we don't actually use skeet. You're right. There is kind of a divide about who skeets and who posts, but yes.
Got
so join our YouTube channel if you can. And I think our next one is you, Davey.
And share YouTube channel with friends too, of course.
Oh, yes.
Like, thumbs up, everything, all that good stuff. Nope, one more thing.
one more.
Just in case they haven't seen it, we got the season 6 list up. I know it's actually probably pretty hard to see on the screen here. I'll make it as big as I can. But you can find it everywhere. Everywhere where you can find Brandy, you can probably
everywhere
find
you can
it.
find me. That's right. And you can see the little blue. Those are the hosted events. Those are our VIP only events. So Paul Kudnaris and Lindsay Fitzharris in the same room at the same time. Sureka, yes, Sureka, who is one of our people, and Bill Shutt is hosting her. Riley Black's coming back with Bethany, and Eric Garcia is coming back to interview me about mine. Lisa Perrin, that's the League of Lady Poisoners, a sort of graphic novel. So I know, right? It's a great lineup, says Kristen, and I agree. Patty McCracken's coming back for that, and Lucy Santos will be back to host Christina Ward. So it's going to be awesome.
Sadie says, season 6, they grow up so fast.
They do, don't they? Don't they?
And then, yes, Peculiar Movie Club. So we've watched the movie, but me and Darren, sorry, I'm coughing. Me and Darren haven't actually sat down to record yet. So we missed October 17th. But in honor of Brandy's book, we had to find a British murder mystery. And Inspector Calls, from everything I heard, was like this legendary stage play, right? And this was the best adaptation of it. So I'm curious if anyone's seen it in Inspector Calls. It was made for the BBC, starring David Thewlis. It's available to stream on Peacock if you subscribe to that. But I have watched it, and it is interesting. He is quite engaging, and me and Darren will get into
is he more engaging than McAdams? Is he looks McAdamsy, but I don't know if he acts
exactly. That's kind of what. Yeah, I didn't want Sherlock Holmes. McAdams isn't Sherlock Holmes, right? We needed a more gruff. No, this guy is. Oh God, he's just like the meanest, hardest of cops, really. Yeah, he's quite intimidating. Sorry. You know what he might be? Who's the other? The guy that comes from
Jarvis Fleet.
Yeah, it's Fleet. He's more Fleet. This guy is more Fleet.
Okay.
Yeah. As Brandy adjusts her iPad.
Sorry, I know. Big hands, big hands.
But here's where my challenge comes out to the peculiars, who've gotten surprisingly quiet in the chat. Have you not seen an Inspector Calls? What have you ever heard of this? So we always do a Halloween movie. And Susan says, Brandy, you're doing a cat impression. Just pawing at your iPad.
I will soon. Hi, Amberly.
Hi, Amberly. So we usually do a spooky movie for Halloween, and I don't even know if me and Darren will find the time to do it together, but I'll do it. My baseball season is over, so I have some free time. So by the end of this episode, if you can pick, last year we did The Wicker Man.
Right.
So if you want to pick a spooky movie for me to watch, or me and Darren, if he has the time, and we'll do a podcast episode about it, and we'll talk about it.
Love it.
Together. So you got to fill up the chat. You got to let me know what movies you suggest. The Wicker Man was an interesting. It was spooky, but I don't know if it was Halloween spooky. So
I think the person who suggests the next movie also gets a signed book.
There you go.
So we'll give away 2 books. The person who suggests the movie gets a book. And we'll give away candy as well. Okay. We got to not forget to do that, by the way, through the course of the show. Okay.
All right. While they're doing that, let's talk about your book.
Okay.
So we have to ask you the first question.
Okay.
Where did the idea come from? What inspired you? Take us to the beginning.
So I was born. That was part of it. But the truth of the matter is, I was actually inspired partly by a true story about a haunted garden that belongs to the National Trust. I can't tell you a lot about it in case you haven't read the book, but there's a garden where they found some stuff when they were renovating the garden, and there's some sort of spooky Gothic elements to it. And I thought that would be a great story if I ever wanted to write a mystery. And then I was talking with my agent, and she's like, have you ever wanted to write a mystery? And I was like, funny you mentioned that. So that's kind of where it came from. And then I sort of imported myself in accidentally at first. And then my agent was like, oh, it's interesting that you made the main character autistic. And I went, did I?
Yeah.
We've got people in the chat.
Yeah, Linda said the book that stole. I'm assuming she's talking about your book, the book that stole an entire day from me. No regrets.
It was fun. It was very fun. It was very fun to write. I do have to tell you guys, I have a secret. I didn't know who the murderer was until I was halfway through the book.
I kind of like that. I kind of like that. No, it's okay. Because I didn't know who the murderer was until 3/4 of the way through the book. Wait,
you were the writer.
Yeah, true. But you kept us as an audience guessing the whole time.
I know
a lot of candidates.
There were a lot of candidates. The sequel is coming out soon, and there's slightly fewer candidates in this book, but it's also a book where you're like, how the hell did that happen? So, yeah.
Now I have to Google the movies they're suggesting while we talk.
Oh, okay.
So should we say up front, are we going to do spoiler free for the beginning, or should we?
Right. So first half we'll do spoiler free. So if you haven't read or finished the book, second half, all the spoilers happen.
After the music. Yep. After the music, all the spoilers. Yeah.
All the spoilers. Okay. I was looking to, I saw, oh.
Yeah, we do have a question in here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sudrika said, what prompted you to set the novel in Yorkshire rather than in the US? And how did the location shape the characters? Oh my gosh, that's a great question. Whew. Okay, so story time. I partly got some of the ideas to write this book while I was staying at a cottage in near Stratford-upon-Avon in a place called Clifford Chambers. And because it was a slight rise and there was a ford, so they called it Cliff. It was not a cliff. It was oversold, but Clifford Chambers. And I got a writing residency there. So I was finishing Mr. Humble and Dr. Butcher while I was in that cottage. This is pre-pandemic. And I had been writing the mystery in fits and starts while also writing Mr. Humble and Dr. Butcher, but I was writing it longhand in a notebook as a way of relaxing, I guess. And so I'm staying in this little cottage, and I've been to England a lot, and I still make these very strange mistakes because things are really so similar and not the same at the same time. So it's a very uncanny thing where you think you understand what's going on, but you don't quite understand what's going on. And I had this thing happen where it turns out in England, most people couldn't tell that I was autistic because they just assumed this is the way Americans were. And that was so funny to me that I thought, what if you did a fish out of water novel with an autistic protagonist who is always also a fish out of water? So that was one reason why I chose to set it in Yorkshire. As to how that affected the characters, well, I had to learn a lot. Accents are very important because Americans tend to assume like a British accent is a British accent, and it's not. And granted, it works the other way too. Like Boston, Texas, not the same.
My word. Hello, governor.
Hello, governor. Yeah. So they're really, I'm trying to think of a polite way of putting it. They know where each person is from, and they are super judgy based on what you sound. They're like, oh, Newcastle.
We kind of do that. Even in Columbus, when I went to Ohio State, people were like, "Oh, Cleveland accent,
Cleveland, yeah, right." I know, and it's all in Ohio. So, but what makes this weird is England is the size of Pennsylvania, so you have all of these different accents literally within. Like you can throw a stone to the next town, you can see the next town, and you have different accents, and people know that that's where you're from. So I had to get really, really good at this, but I also chose.
We got Newcastle. A local on our crowd.
It is a world in itself. But in Newcastle, there is a form of slang called Geordie or Geordie, and it's kind of impossible. So I decided to make a couple of characters that way, and my poor audiobook person was like, how would you pronounce this? And I'm like, she's a real wacky ticket, you're. And she's like, okay. So it did influence things.
Yeah, it's spelled with a G. Geordie. So yeah, it's.
I've heard it pronounced both ways, so I don't know which one's correct.
Yeah, I didn't. Brad Pitt made that. Well, I'm sure many people made it famous, but in Snatch, was that the movie? Yeah, yeah, where it's almost you can't even understand a single word that comes out of his mouth.
Yeah, it's pretty
pronounced
much
the J. Susan says.
Okay, Jay. Okay, Jordy. Right. So I'm missing a lot of what's happening in the chat. What was going on here? Fat rascals. What's that?
I'm not sure at this point.
I think it's a Yorkshire thing. It's some Yorkshire chat is happening in the feed.
Is Yorkshire pudding good? That's Yorkshire always makes.
My brother makes Yorkshire pudding. It's very good, made appropriately. Yeah, it's not pudding though. Not even sure if it's from Yorkshire.
All right, they do have a lot of questions piling up here.
Okay.
So let's dive in. Let's see. Kathleen says, I feel like this book was made to be loved by so many types of people, and it needs to be a huge series. The characters are all so special in their own ways. Do you think Joe could just keep going on adventures?
Oh yeah. I mean, so the second book is already in the bag and is in copy edit right now. And I have when I'm not allowed, you have to wait till things happen before you propose more things. But I have 2 more that I want to propose to the publisher, and we hope that they will take them. So
again, a huge spoiler warning, I guess, for the last book we just read, Liar, Dreamer, Thief, but that main character is on the path to becoming possibly a detective. Could there be a crossover series?
No.
A peculiar team up, yeah.
A peculiar team up. There are so many characters, but the thing is, they all seem very real to me. And as the author, I sometimes sort of sit around wondering what they're doing. Wonder what they're doing tonight. It's on my birthday. I wonder what Tula's doing on my birthday.
All right, so Kat asked the big question that we're all thinking. You're a nonfiction writer, Brandy. We know you're a historical nonfiction writer.
Right.
So Kat asks, how is writing fiction compared to nonfiction?
So
different Kat, by the way. This is Kat White.
Different Kat. I know, other Kat. So okay, I actually started early on in my career as a fiction writer, and not a nonfiction writer. But I found it very, very difficult to write and sell fiction. It's difficult to write and sell anything, just so you know. It's impossible. It's like I'm shouting into the void, and the void doesn't even bother echoing back. Because everyone's shouting into the void. So I started off. I may have written. I may have known someone who wrote a young adult series for a publishing house that later went under, and may have needed a lot of edits. But I sort of gave it up. I was kind of like, well, this is too difficult. It's not going anywhere. And I got an agent who was a nonfiction agent for Death Summer Coat. And it just kind of launched my work. And I was already, I'm a historian, so it made sense. So I was a historian already working in history and literature. And I went down the nonfiction path first. And then honest to goodness, I wasn't originally intending to break back into fiction necessarily, certainly not with mystery, but I needed something creative to do because I find nonfiction really hard. It's hard, it's expensive, you travel and there's research and archives and I like it too, but it's just not as warm and fuzzy and awesome as getting to sit down and create this world and these characters. And I missed it. And so after I created the book and my agent was like, well, I think we should take it out and sell it. And then it sold. I literally had this moment of being like, what? Really? And then they bought 2 books.
You're supposed to toil hate this forever.
Right. And they bought 2. They bought 2 books. They bought a book that I'd written and a book I hadn't written. They were like, you can write another one, right? And I was like, probably. So that's how that happened. And now I'm working on a thriller that hopefully I'll be done and trying to sell in the new year. And I have some other ideas for additional series. And so I will always write nonfiction, probably, mostly. But it's hard. It's much harder and more time consuming. Takes a lot longer too.
Kathleen Richardson says, fiction is just nonfiction in your own head. The characters do answer back, don't they? LOL, if that's insanity, if it is art.
Yes. So I talk to my characters a lot.
It is an insanity if it's art.
It's art. It's probably both. Mark has actually caught me verbally arguing with my characters before. It has happened where he's walked in and, I'm having whole conversations with imaginary people. I have eidetic memory. I've talked about this before. So that means the things I visualize are extremely real to the point that it becomes sometimes a little bit difficult for me to tell, to be like, wait a minute, that's not a real place, right? Like that didn't happen, right? So it is really real to me, and it does feel like nonfiction a little bit. I feel like I drew a map of Abington and actually put it up on my Instagram page because I know where everything's at, you know.
Yeah, I guess you would have to map stuff out like that.
Well, if you're going to have a police detective getting from one place to another, you do kind of have to know where things are.
Apparently, Fat Rascals is. So Sareka said, "Oh my God, someone who gets to eat Fat Rascals from Betty's all the time." Apparently, it's Betty's of York Tea Room, Fat Rascals, fruit buns and scones. Hang on, let me share my screen really quick. I love learning new things on Peculiar Book Club. Ready?
See, that's just how we do
together. Betty's of York. Here we go. So there you go.
That's Betty's of York.
That is a Fat Rascal. Am I right?
That's a Fat Rascal?
Yeah.
It looks kind of like a scone.
Yeah, they said. There we go. Okay.
Fat
Fruit
Rascal.
bun scones.
I love it. Wow.
Okay.
See? You didn't know that before. I didn't know that.
We gotta get the Fat Betty's apparently.
I'll see if I can't sneak that into the next book.
Or Betty's of York, yeah, for a Fat Rascal.
With Joe Jones eating Fat Rascal.
Yeah, we missed a lot here. They were talking about scones and puddings and shepherd's pie. Sadie said we're having shepherd's pie in spirit of the book.
Yes,
yes. Jennifer helped us out here. So
with the Geordie, okay.
Geordie, and it's a British slang term for people from Newcastle and the area around it, and for the dialect. As well.
Yeah, the dialect is something else. Like I had to learn a lot of stuff to make that dialect work, and why and how are we collecting Susans and cats? You know, we're gonna be showing a thing about cats later.
Mm-hmm.
Just so you guys know.
Let's see. Did we miss anything else in the conversation here? I'll catch up on the conversation while you answer the question from Abigail. Abigail says, how many small Easter eggs of yourself did you hide in Joe?
All of them. all of them. So some of them are mine. Okay. I don't actually say words the way she does. She sort of repeats words. I repeat sounds, which is more annoying for people. Because I'll just be like, oh, TH sounds today. That is more annoying to people than you repeating words, as it turns out, especially when you're like 6 years old and your mom's like, I am not going to be able to take this much longer. So some of that, her processing is very much me, especially there's a scene where she's talking about memory, and she's talking about how having a really excellent memory sounds like a superpower, but it's also very lonely because other people forget and you don't. And so eventually you're the only one in your memory. Everyone else, you know, because it doesn't exist anywhere else now except in your own head. And that's really hard. It's especially hard because, and one of the points she's making is when you're dealing with family members who don't understand your autism or don't want to take it seriously or don't know how to handle or deal with it. And sometimes they say really hurtful things, but they don't remember those. But you do.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah. I think it's interesting how some of that stuff is very much me sort of external processing things as they happened to me in my life. But I also I didn't want her to be a Mary Sue character. I really did try to make her her own character. She isn't me. There's aspects of her that are things that I do. But what was amusing is after I sent the book to the editor sent it back with corrections, and she was like, could you give us like more autism? Could you like make her more autistic? And I was like, look, Grace, no one in the history of the world has ever asked an autistic person to be more. That has never been a sentence. So it was kind of funny to suddenly be like, for real? Like just go all out. So I really did expand on some things that are maybe a little more subdued in me, that I was able to kind of like go wild, Joe. So I've never had quite this sort of meltdowns that I have her have. Mine are small.
Yeah, I was gonna say I spent a lot of time together. I've never caught you on like a runaway train situation where I'm like, what is even happening right now?
No, I saved that for home.
Linda said, no wonder I like Joe so much. And Heidi says, I totally pictured Joe as you.
Yeah, for some shorter.
I just pictured this short little battle axe of a woman.
Yeah.
Like
I love that about her because in the thriller that I'm working on, the main character is very, very tall, and so partly it was just like matter of degrees. I needed to keep them apart in my head.
All right. So a long conversation about the fat fat rice. Trigger says large and flat and almondy.
Almondy.
And Susan says almondy. I'm sold.
Me too.
And they freeze well, so you can get a bunch.
I like that. I like that plan. I miss. You can't get a proper scone in the U.S. You just can't. We don't say them right here. We don't make them right. It's very frustrating.
We're a muffin crowd.
Yeah. Except that doesn't mean the same thing in England either. Neither does bacon, as Joe discovers, right? Bacon is not what you... There's something they call streaky bacon, which looks a bit more like our bacon, but is also not bacon.
Then some people were talking about your writing style. Sharon says, my husband writes plays and he walks around the house speaking the lines of his characters to see how they sound. So you're not alone.
Yeah. The weirdest thing I ever did was when I was living in roommates, not in them. I'm not a bacteria, despite what people may have told you. Living with some roommates when I was in college, and before I wrote scenes, because again, I wrote fiction when I was younger, I would act them out. And I had just tried to do a quite elaborate death scene. And she walks in and I'm like lying on the floor, all twisted around, this kind of like guttural, like, you know, how you die from an arrow in the chest kind of thing. She's like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm dying, obviously. Duh. So.
I picture that more like John Lovett. I'm dying. Catherine Pendergast is she's in on the play.
Changing my name to Cat.
Kathleen says she'll make you some scones the next time you visit Toronto.
Good. I will totally take you up on that.
Okay, so we're at the halfway point. We got a lot of things to get to. Yeah, I know. Well, we can go on tonight. We'll see. But I think we should share some of the fun stuff we have in store, because it is our Halloween episode and we got some fun things. So should we share the cats?
Let's share the cats. Some of you may have seen this already because I did kind of post this on social media, but I don't think you can watch it enough times, probably.
I told Brandy when she first sent it to me, I thought it was just the fire at the beginning. I was about to be like, ooh, fire! But I was like, oh, wait, there's more to this.
Yeah.
I needed that break. I had to take the scuba tank off. I was doing a core exercise for the first 30 minutes of this episode. No. Just straight ab work there.
Oh no!
Sitting forward in the chair.
So I have felted those. So you might know I've gone a bit elaborate for our new season intro, which I'll be working on soon. And those are felted cats that I made of Wallace and Darwin. And so cute, I'm gonna die, says Sarika. So yes, that's what I also made that organ out of wood and air dry clay. So, you know, because I have lots of free time. I should not be doing these things, but yet there we are.
Oh, that's okay. All right. So another question about the book. Sarika says, I love seeing Joe's internal thought process. New to me, and I appreciate learning about a different
Umwelt. Yes, channeling it young. Ooh, an Umwelt. Yeah. So I didn't know y'all didn't process like that. So, you know, you just grow up inside your own head, and I just assumed. And I would be really confused when I would tell people stuff. And so after this book came out, my father calls me and is like, is that what it's like being inside your head? I was like, yeah. And he goes, this makes so much more sense of you now. Like, I totally get you now. And I was like, I'm sorry, I didn't write it when I was 12.
Kristen wants to know if you're going to graduate to making full-size furniture.
No, that's Mark's job.
There you go.
Yeah, got to save some things for Mark to do.
So we have another question here that's in
we do, but we have to pick our first winner of a book though, because we're at the halfway point. So okay, so I think what we should do is we should pick the first 2 winners. I know some people suggested films, so we might find out who win that one later. And we should do that while we're playing the music video, which is called Driving to Idaho, and which you should know I inspired.
Yes, you did. And here is...
It's my birthday.
Here is Charming Disaster.
Oh, hello, Peculiars.
It's us, Charming Disaster.
And we have a song for you tonight, a kind of special song, because did you know it's Brandy's birthday?
Oh my God.
Happy birthday, Brandy.
Happy birthday, Brandy.
And we're going to play a song that was actually inspired by Brandy, a remark that she sent to us a few years ago. We were coming through Cleveland to play a show, and she wrote that she was sorry she couldn't attend because she was going to be, and I quote, driving to Idaho. And we were like, ooh, that sounds so ominous.
Suspicious.
So euphemistic for something dreadful.
Illegal.
So we wrote the song, which we assume is more or less accurate. Happy birthday, Brandy. Shovel in the backseat, secrets in the front. Try to keep your shit together, don't open up the trunk. Fly under the radar, keep your profile low. Driving to Idaho. Driving to Idaho. Driving to Idaho.
Something might have happened you don't talk about.
Make sure that the taillight isn't burned out. Better watch out. Better take it slow.
Driving to Idaho. Driving to Idaho. Driving to Idaho.
Listen for the siren, watch for flashing lights. Stick to the speed limit, travel day and night. What doesn't hurt you is what you don't know. Driving to Idaho. Driving to Idaho. Driving to Idaho. Did you need to go too far? Did you do what you had to do? Make a wish on a shooting star and hope it's not aiming at you.
Shouting at the windshield, rain is coming down.
Just another day till the money runs out. Take a deep breath, it's all under control. Driving to Idaho. Driving to Idaho. Driving to Idaho. Driving to Idaho.
Driving to Idaho. Driving to Idaho. Driving to Idaho. Driving to Idaho. Driving to Idaho.
You know, we don't talk enough about their banter. Their pre-song banter, yeah. I think when you see them live, they write some really good banter, don't they?
They really do.
Yeah.
No, they're just like that. They stay at my house when they come to Cleveland, and that's just who they are.
Being a brunch spot, it's just all banter.
I took them to a brunch spot. Yeah, it was. Like you feed them biscuits, and they're like, "This was just it's great."
All right. So picking a movie, you have to let me know what you want us to do because somebody threw out some spooky movies that I'd never heard of before.
I'm gonna let you work on picking the movie, and then we will reward them later. But we also do have some additional picks with our randomizer that we were doing during the song. So
I got some names here.
Okay.
I think how about a congratulations to Cat White?
Oh, Cat White. That's a book.
And to Heidi Landskroner.
Heidi Landskroner. That's a book. I love it. And then we still have 2 candy giveaways too. So I figure we could do that maybe after the quiz.
Okay, perfect.
All right. All right.
Now
you 2 who won, you will need to get in touch with me so I have your address and I will send things to you.
So now spoiler territory.
Spoiler territory.
Full spoiler.
So, okay, guys.
You haven't read it, log off, save it, pause it, come back and find us. Because we did have a question in here from earlier that was in that spoiler territory.
Yes.
Jessica asked, I fell in love with so many of the quirky supporting characters in your novel. Can you give us any teasers for the next book and who might be making another appearance?
Yes, I can. So, first of all, if you follow my author page, I believe, or subscribe to the other newsletter, you might have already heard this. So this is an exclusive reveal. The new title is called The Dead Come to Stay. And of course, Joe Jones is back, and McAdams is back, and Gwillem is back, because I know Gwillem is a fave with many of you. And Tula is back. I also will let you know that we go a little bit deeper into a few of the characters' lives. So you learn a bit, but Tula's a bit enigmatic, and we learn just a few new things about Tula. And we also learn quite a lot about McAdams. And McAdams features in the new book in ways that might be somewhat unexpected. Yeah, and it's not a locked room mystery, but it also kind of is. So
interesting. So I'm going to be asked so full spoiler warning, okay?
Full spoiler.
Tula, that's the innkeeper, right? I'm trying to catch up on all the names again.
Right.
She was kind of my dark horse pick for is she the one who did it? Because she's being almost too nice.
A lot of people asked me and said that she was someone that they were like,
All right, so spoiler question time. Another movie was thrown in. A horror comedy set in Ireland. Oh, that would fit Brandy's book.
That would even because Tula she's from the Bonny Isles, in fact. Yes.
So do we have any other I guess I could ask you.
You can ask this part of the question.
Okay. The meaning of the painting.
Yes.
And the meaning of the house. So you said you didn't know who the murderer was going to be. Did you know where that was all going to go? Because there were a lot of times where I was like, I kind of want to get back to the house and explore the house more.
Yeah. So now that we're in the spoiler territory, I can tell you the true story that this was sort of loosely based on. So back in the day, if you don't know, the Gardens of the National Trust is basically like aristocratic people owned a bunch of stuff, and then aristocratic people lost a bunch of money and they couldn't afford to upkeep all the stuff anymore. So, but they're beautiful places. And so the Gardens of the National Trust steps in and will take the gardens and turn them into public kind of national treasures, sort of. So this happens quite often. And then in one occasion, they bought a place and there was a house there, and the house was lived in by a man and his sister-in-law or stepsister. And they decided to tear it down. It was in great disrepair, like another house that you might have encountered in the book. And they decided to tear it down. And when they were unearthing the basement, they found a very small coffin. And it turns out that the brother and his stepsister were more than friends, and that the baby died and they didn't want anyone to know what had happened, and so they buried it under the house. But then, after they tore down the house, they planted an orchard there, and supposedly you can still hear a baby crying at night. So that was what the tour guide from the Gardens of the National Trust told us anyway.
I love those. I love those kind of haunted stories, and you could still hear her crying at night. Yeah.
So I heard that story while I was watching I got really hooked on watching Gardens of the National Trust, like old BBC episodes for a while. It's extremely like relaxing. You just sit around and watch like some guy talk about flowers. And then occasionally something like this happens. And I was like, whoa, okay, I'm going to log that away. So that partly inspired the elements, but I just decided we needed a haunted painting as well. And there was a point where I thought this was going to be a ghost story. So there was a time when I was thinking maybe the painting would be haunted in a more, literal sense.
The painting did it.
The painting did it, yeah.
Okay, they're saying, let's see some of the comments.
Kathleen is done cooking and did not burn down the house.
Yes.
The Derringer was delicious.
Linda said, and the garden. I think that was part of another comment from Linda. But Sadie said, I could totally smell the house.
Oh, all those rotten books.
Sharon said, yes, I love the house. I'm sure it has way more secrets.
I loved that house. I really enjoyed writing that house. We spend more time in the cottage in the sequel, but don't worry, there's plenty of other unusual places to explore.
So Sareka asks about that final 10% of the book. She said, I was struck by the sudden, sustained pacing change over the final 10%. The chasing stuff, what was it like to figure out how to do all the revelations and actions in a short space?
Some of that's called having a deadline. So you learn on the fly. But the other thing was, so we've had Stephen Gallagher on here before, and Stephen writes a lot of thrillers. And when I was first working on writing a mystery novel, I asked him, what would a thriller be like? And he said, well, I could tell you, but then I would have to kill you. And you would have to run from me and always be one step ahead as I narrowly almost caught you repeatedly over and over again until the end. And I was like, oh. So it seemed like good advice. When I started working on that, I acted out a lot of that stuff because I was kind of like, how to take somebody who has been straight-laced and very formal and break them and then have that be the catalyst. Like, those glow sticks, you snap them and you shake them up. And so I was kind of like trying to do that with the last part of the book.
All right, there you go.
Mixed metaphors.
The fire was an intense. That was an intense ending. I didn't see that coming.
It was intense. That I had planned on through the whole thing, though. Like that was. I often see sort of scenes, and I could see that scene early on in the book, and so I realized that's where I was going. I wrote it several different ways, actually. In some, I ultimately decided I wanted her to always save herself. So then I had to kind of like rethink that. Did anybody else go, I know that mace is coming back? Or the pepper spray? Did anybody go like that's
the pepper spray, right, the pepper spray. You're not allowed to have a weapon, yeah.
The deadline answer. It is true, though, by the way. You can be arrested for having pepper spray. That is not an okay thing. Linda Ballinger said, startled my cats laughing at the deadline answer. Yes.
Oh, man. Let's see. Are there any other spoiler questions? You have a chance now. Anything you want to ask?
Because we're going to go into quiz territory.
Let's see. What part of the book haven't we talked about yet? How'd you come up with the pub? How'd you picture the pub in your head? Where'd the pub come from?
I think I mentioned that I stayed in Clifford Chambers. So I stayed at a cottage in Clifford Chambers that partly inspired the cottage. Joe's cottage is much bigger. But the pubs, so it's really interesting. We have bars. Bars and pubs are not the same thing. You walk into a pub and like there's not like walls of TVs. There's not like people go there for dinner and they make actual dinners. Like usually it's like a particular thing that they're serving on that night.
Wait, chicken wings is an actual dinner?
No. No, they had like partridge pie and stuff, right? So I was staying at the cottage and I had bought some groceries, but I saw that the pub was like talking about they were having roast beef dinner or something. So I go down and, I walk in and I ordered a whiskey and and I was like, well, what do you have for dinner? And they're like, oh, well, we've got some roast beef, but we also got the partridge pie. And I was like, what? They're like, actually, it's a wood pigeon, but they're quite large. And I'm just like, what? I need this. I don't know what this is. I'm going to try it. It was amazing. Gravy. It was so good. I had my whiskey. So then I think, why am I cooking? I'm just going to walk down to the pub. You do need to get back to England, Susan. Yes, you do. So I decide to go there the next night and then that's how I found out like every night there's like a different sort of dinner, but it's all like amazing, right? But this time I walk in and the guy looks up at me because it's not like there's a ton of people here. I'm in a town of like 23 people. And he says, whiskey. And I was like, yeah. He's like, same again? And I was like, sure. What did I have the last time? So he gives me something and he tells me, he's like, tonight it's this and tonight it's that. But nobody bothers you. There wasn't TV. There was one TV off in the corner and everyone was sort of clustered around it watching football. Football. Yeah. So occasionally somebody would go, hey, and that was it. But it was otherwise like it was quite quiet and there were like families eating and I'm in my little corner booth. So by the third time I went in, they just were like, like whiskey is here. Like it's just, you live there now. Like you live at the pub now. And it was amazing. So yeah.
That does sound amazing.
It was amazing.
I dig it.
And everything is called the lion. Like there's the green lion, the red lion, the white lion. I just picked a color and a large cat.
I feel like next year we should have like actual food recipes along with our drink recipes. We should have like that's a whole nother. We have so much on our plate, don't we?
So I introduced you to a certain whiskey and several meals in the first book. This is a trend that continues.
Yeah.
There's a new whiskey and new recipes. And there's weirdly some food related mystery items. So yeah.
All right. Let's see here.
I see Chris.
Gwillem. Yeah, Kristen asked about Gwillem. Gwillem seemed to just disappear for a while towards the end. Was that on purpose? Were we getting too fond of him?
Honestly, there was a lot of characters to juggle in the book. I decided, well, there wasn't enough for him to do after the skip, after the whole, like, they're sitting there looking over the documents in the candlelight and all that kind of stuff. So I thought, okay, well, we want to step back a bit. He's very sweet on Joe as well. And so I decided, okay, well, maybe we just need a little space. But he comes back full strong in the sequel in all his Gwillemy ways. So he's good.
Poor Anthro girl. She says, I'm fairly certain I would starve to death in England. I'm the picky eating kind of autistic. LOL.
Oh, but you know what though? I can be picky, but it's a texture thing for me. So you just have to find the things that work. Because you're like, if you're like a scone, chips, brown gravy person, you can do that, or you can just like pollock and yeah. So you'd be surprised. They can be pretty accommodating. And then when you walk into a place, they'll just give you that meal whenever you walk. So here you go. There's your thing.
Kathleen's down for food recipes too.
Food recipes kept you in. Yeah.
It does get weird. Let's be honest. English cuisine does get. I mean, baked beans on toast. Like it does get a little.
Their breakfast. It's very interesting to me about the English breakfast is complicated, right? Because on one hand, I love the fact that there's like grilled tomatoes and mushrooms and it's a big breakfast, and all kinds of eggs. On the other hand, beans for breakfast is no. No. I mean, I did go to Norway and pickled fish for breakfast. Also no for me. Also a no. Some things that my belly's like, not at 7 a.m. Like, no.
Stephanie's down for anything. She's down for anything. Yeah, I love food. All right. Let's I think it's time for the quiz.
Time for the quiz. Okay.
I think it's time for the quiz. We quizzed you before, right? I didn't even look at what
you have never quizzed me.
I never quizzed you?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I feel like I don't.
We'll have to go back and check that episode.
I don't remember.
We'll dig into the archives and find out. But so a lot of ideas are running through my head for quizzes. I was thinking about English gardens, but I decided to pivot and go with something even more unexpected. So,
by the way, Gertrude Jekyll is a real person, and so is the artist of the painter. So if cool. I accidentally sent my agent down several rabbit holes with this book.
But our murder victim, one of the unique characteristics about him is that he was married 3 times.
Yes.
So I decided to do a quiz about celebrities that were married 3 times and divorced 3 times.
I'm going to be terrible at this.
This quiz is called the Wedding Bell Blues.
The Wedding Bell Blues.
So I think we should give them, if anyone gets a perfect score on the quiz, and keep score yourself. I definitely think they're in line for a candy prize.
I think they are.
All right. So we'll start with Angelina Jolie. Angelina Jolie has been I left out the word married. Has been married 3 times, most famously to Brad Pitt, but before that to Billy Bob Thornton, and her first marriage was to Johnny Lee Miller. who I believe played a Sherlock Holmes type character, didn't he?
I think so.
It was like the CBS version with Lucy Liu. For her first wedding, what did she wear, Angelina Jolie? A, was it an ivory Vera Wang strapless beaded ball gown? B, was it a remake of the dress Julie Andrews wore in The Sound of Music? Or C, was it a black rubber pants and white t-shirt upon which she wrote her groom's name in blood?
I'm going to go with C. Because that sounds awesome.
Yes, Abigail Johnny Lee Miller was in fact Sherlock Holmes. Yes.
Oh, he was Sherlock Holmes. Okay.
Sadie says C.
C was she says C was BBT. Okay.
Anther Girl, I feel like C is what she wore for Billy Bob Thornton. Oh, was it a trick question?
Right. Trick question. Oh no.
Sharon's down for C.
Well, I thought Billy Bob Thornton was the one she wore a vial of his blood around her neck.
Interesting.
So now I'm okay.
a lot of answers coming in. All right, final answer for Brandy.
It's everything. I think she wore it all, right? She had black rubber pants with a remake of Julie Andrews' dress and a beaded ball gown. That's what this is a trick question. Oh my gosh, you guys can't help me if you all vote the same thing or all vote different things. C does seem very on brand. Okay, I went with C first. I think I'm going to stick with my first guess.
It's always good to trust your instincts. The answer is yes, C. I couldn't find a picture of it. That's her with Johnny Lee Miller. I could not find a picture of this. I was dying in my Google image search.
So she did two different blood things.
She used a surgical needle and pricked herself and wrote his name in blood on her white t-shirt. So
wow.
Yeah. She's had an interesting dating history when you dig into her Wikipedia page. Yeah,
she has indeed.
Somebody else actually, that was a different celebrity. I can't even tell you who wore the ivory Vera Wang strapless dress. I pulled that from real life, and the remake of Julie Andrews. I just googled famous movie wedding dresses.
Yeah, 90s Angie was very Amanda Palmer-esque back then, wasn't she? A little bit on the crazy side.
All right, question. Speaking of the crazy side, Tom Cruise has also famously been married 3 times. Which ex-wife introduced him to Scientology and was his auditor? Was it A, Mimi Rogers, B, Nicole Kidman, or C, Katie Holmes? Yeah, the auditor is the one that go ahead.
No, what was it? What is an auditor?
It's the one that they do something with metal wands and measure something and yeah, I started to get into a Scientology rabbit hole, and I was like, I don't even want to know anymore about this.
That's crazy. Okay, I know it's not Katie because she's too young.
Let me just show you what the chat's saying.
Weird.
Kristen's saying, hey. Sharon's saying, hey. Jennifer, hey.
Okay, we're gonna go with Mimi Rogers. I think that seems. Plus, I would hate to malign Nicole Kidman.
So the answer is yes. It was Mimi Rogers who introduced him to Scientology.
I didn't even know he was married to Mimi Rogers.
Yeah, this was back in the end of the 80s, I think, late 80s. Katie Holmes, after Nicole Kidman, apparently Scientology was trying to find him a new wife for image purposes.
Wow.
And Katie Holmes might have been a Scientology plant. I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
I tried to convert Katie, but they booted her at some point, I think. Yeah. Okay. Katie had divorced him, I think, to get her daughter away from Scientology. Protect them from Scientology.
There's a lot of Hollywood folk who are into Scientology. That's the one that was made up by what's his name, right? L. Ron Hubbard?
Hubbard, yeah.
Yeah.
Anther Girl says you have to measure and discharge your thetans or something regularly. Okay. Yeah.
You know what, guys? I feel like we could come up with a really good religion. We could do this. We could make money from this. I'm sure of it. We could do the Peculiar Book Club religion. You have to believe in books. No writing your name on blood on T-shirts for anyone. Maybe we'll have a list of don't do's. That'll thou shalt nots. There'll be a lot of those.
I know the show Family Guy isn't known as high cinema, but they did do an episode where Peter basically does this. He creates the Church of the Fonz dedicated to Arthur Fonzarelli, and it works. The one scene where he holds a ceremony, it kind of works.
Wait, so Thetans, wait. Is the Thetans and the clear thing, there's that song written, Famous Blue Raincoat by, my brain just farted on me. Famous Blue Raincoat by Wainwright. No, not Rufus. No, it's not Wainwright either. Daggone it. Who is it that wrote that song?
It was Anther Girl. A. Okay. Instead of amen, it's A.
A.
Leonard Cohen.
Leonard Cohen wrote a song, Famous Blue Raincoat, about the night that you plan to go clear. I remember that's a line, and I think that has to do with Scientology. Ha.
Thank you, Kat. Kat with the save. All right. Okay. Question number 3. That's right. You have one more of these to go.
No, Kardashians.
Come on. I had to throw Kim in there. Kim Kardashian has had a few highly publicized marriages.
Yeah.
First to music producer Damon Thomas, second to NBA player Chris Humphries, and third to rapper Kanye West. For the wedding to Humphries, which may or may not have been a publicity stunt, Kim released her wedding fragrance, which was called Blank. Was her wedding fragrance Kim Kardashian Love, Kim Kardashian Forever, or Kim Kardashian Honeymoon?
Wow, I hope it wasn't Kim Kardashian Forever, because it wasn't that.
Not that wedding.
Wow.
If you wanted to smell like Kim on her wedding day, what would you have chosen?
Smell like Kim Kardashian. You know what?
I almost didn't do Kim Kardashian. I almost went with like Harrison Ford was married 3 times, and I mean there were people that were married like 8 times and 9. Like there are some famous ones out there, right?
What would Harrison Ford's fragrance name be? That's my question. Would it be like, Harrison Ford, crack the whip?
Just a grunt, just
Harrison Ford, Air Force One.
Harrison Ford stories are amazing when Mark Hamill tells them. Mark Hamill doing his Harrison Ford impression. Yeah.
Was it sweaty smelling? Oh no, that sounds terrible. All right.
Answer girl, I bet it was B. Jen is, I guess, A. Sharon's A. Kristen just gave a
like
sick
I'm gonna vomit
emoji.
Face. Yeah.
Susan's going B.
B. Was it sweaty smelling?
Yeah. Amanda Johnson's guessing B.
I'm gonna pick B just because it's ironic because of the absolute not forever that marriage was. So let's go with B.
She's going with the irony vote. Was it B? Nope. Kim Kardashian Love. Yep, that was the fragrance line. It was just too good of a trivia fact within the whole 3 times married thing.
No, I'm really thinking a whole bunch about like what we would name Harrison Ford fragrances. Like I think we need a list.
Harrison Ford crash landing. Hasn't he crashed his airplane many times?
Into a golf course. What I love about this is like Harrison Ford crash lands his airplane into a golf course and walks away from it. He's pretty much okay. But imagine you're the golfer. Like, right. No one is ever going to believe you. Like, drinking a little bit today.
So there I am. I'm 10 under par, the best round of my life. All of a sudden, here comes Harrison Ford.
After crash landing an airplane he was flying. Yeah, no one's going to believe you. The Air Force One. Yeah, the Air Force One.
Yeah, Harrison that would be Ford, a strong fragrance. Yeah. Great, good movie. Like, weirdly good.
Jennifer says, that would be the absolute unit in terms of cologne, right? Ta-da! We got it. Oh my goodness.
As far as Die Hard on a Blank, which is the whole genre of movies, Die Hard on a Boat, Die Hard on the President's Plane, like that's a really, really good movie.
I just think that we should do a fragrance for Die Hard too. Small metal box. That would be like it would come in a small metal box. You'd lift it up and it would just be him like with a lighter.
So did anyone get a perfect score? Really quick. If you got a perfect score, throw it in the chat because you won candy.
You won candy. Who's my perfect score? Get off my plane. He kills Gary Oldman.
I use that line. We play a little game called war tubing here in Cleveland, where we go boating on Lake Erie and we send 2 tubes back at the same time with one person on each, and you have to battle to knock the other person off, and you can jump across on the other person, and it's a lot of fun and a little painful, but a lot of fun.
Great way to like sprain your shoulder.
Yeah. And he had jumped across on me and he was trying to wrestle me off, and I kind of spun around and I got him by the life jacket. We're safety first. And I put my foot in his chest and I went, "Get off my tube." And I sent him flying into the lake.
Sharon Roney got 3 right. She goes, "I did." So she gets candy. And Kristen said, "I got 1 right. Can I have a third of the candy tree?"
We'll break you off 1 piece of the Kit Kat.
1 piece of candy.
Yes, I thought Sharon was on it. Yeah.
I thought she was on it.
Sharon's a winner for candy. Remember, you got to message Brandy.
Yes, you got to message me. I broke a ribwatch on a tube. Yes, for real. Like I was on a tube holding on. So I went tubing in a bikini. Not a good idea. So I was holding myself and the tube like this. But if you have your arms like this for 45 minutes at high velocity, that's all you can do for days. You're like, you're trying to eat and drink like that. So
Safety first when boating. When I drive, I make sure nobody gets hurt first. There's a proper speed for tubing.
For tubing.
A peculiar summer camp.
Next year and go tubing. Peculiar summer
come on
camp
to Cleveland.
We'll try and get you in between the launch of the midges and the mayflies.
Yeah. I do have one more thing to show them really quick before we wrap up.
Okay,
we never showed them your painting. We had it last episode, but I kind of want to save it. But tell them really quick. Tell them the story.
All right, here's the story. Riva Lair, who was on our show, invited me to be Gollum Girl, who invited me to be part of her show called it's a monster show. It's a show about the monster within, the monster without, how we become monstrous in order to sort of cope in the world. And she did it as collaborations with people. And so we sat down and collaborated. And she is still working on the outer part of this painting, but she asked me to do a painting that represented my interior. And she wasn't quite prepared for what, in fact, I produced, which happens sometimes. So this is my painting in gouache, which is it's not an acrylic. Gouache is slightly different. It's got a resin base. And I don't know if you can zoom in on that or not. But
I wish I could zoom in. Sorry. So, no zooming in on this one.
No zooming in. Okay, well, there's a lot going on there. As you can see, there's a forest that Mark remarks is potentially vagina territory, which would make perfect sense for us as a group. There's a body underneath the forest, and then there is squids. There's the fish, kind of Ouroboros kind of thing. There's a little rat down in the bubble down there with a empty whiskey bottle, because obviously I would drink the whiskey first. There's a little cat.
You told me about the fly. Where's the fly?
Oh, yeah. So this fly kept buzzing me while I was working. So I put the blot. There is a fly painted above.
Is it above the whiskey bottle?
Yeah. That's the fly, because it would not leave me alone. There's a little picture of the York shambles, and there's a cat sitting in the window looking at the York shambles. There's a deer skull. There's a funny story behind that. At some point, probably not tonight, but we do need to talk at some point about my deer story and dating a boxer and why they're related. And then there's a wolf, and then there's the castle in the background.
I gotta say, those are some good trees. I didn't pay attention. I didn't look quite closely enough, but those are some good trees.
Oh, thank you.
You have this is the peculiar Bob Ross, isn't it? The peculiar book club's version of a Bob Ross painting.
So she's like, "What is all that?" And I was like, "You told me to paint the inside of me." This is what's going on in there.
I haven't even looked at the comments.
With my story teaser. Yeah. At some point, ask me about the dead deer skeleton and the end of dating a boxer.
I'm guessing this is where they pick up. That's spot on, Brandy. We got ooze from Sadie and Linda. Some
poisons
heart emojis from Jessica.
It does look a bit like a fantasy book world. I get that. I painted a giant snake with pink wings on my wall as a child, so that's partly what that's to represent there.
Definitely not happy little trees, Sharon says.
Not happy little trees. But there are trees. There are lots of trees.
All right. Well, I'm glad we got to show that.
And when she's done, she does a picture of me, and there will be doors through which you can peek to see what's behind it. So that's how that will work when it's all done.
My son will love that. He loves any book where you can open a flap.
Yeah, I know. Me too. Me too. It's very cool. Wow, you guys, this was such a fun night. I really appreciated it. Thank you so much for coming and joining us. And again, don't forget, if you're a winner tonight, you need to email me so that I have your address. And then Davey will pick the movie recommendation winner and get back to me.
Yeah, let's see. So what should I kind of want to do grabbers. Ready? Here's the description. I don't know if anyone's ever seen this movie. When an island off the coast of Ireland is invaded by blood-sucking aliens, the heroes discover that getting drunk is the only way to survive.
Oh my God, that sounds amazing.
I'm in. I don't know how scary or spooky it's going to be, but I am in. It's listed as a horror comedy. So.
It sounds good. It sounds good. Well, I'm going to actually go get some dinner here and feed myself because I'm hungry. But it was amazing seeing everybody. Thank you so much for my happy birthday wishes. Thank you so much for being here and being a big supporter of the book. You guys rock, and you make every birthday special. You too, Davey. The whale trying to eat your head all evening has also made the birthday very special.
So I'm going to name him Mitt. This is Mitt the whale, and it is the exact whale, the style of whale from the book.
It is.
He's going to be a permanent fixture on the bookshelf back here. He's part of the set now.
I love it. It's very cool. I've just built you a tiny little set for the, but I don't have any bobbleheads. I got to make a bunch of very, very small bobbleheads now, and a whale.
All right. Well, Brandy, take us out.
All right. Thank you all for being here at a place where, if you're weird, you're family.